FedEx excluded one rate from demand surcharges this year. Do you think they could do that again in 2024? What are your thoughts on flat rate programs such as one rate when it comes to dynamic pricing and demand surcharges?
Well, this is a fun one. Audie, with your background in FedEx, do you want to tackle that?
I think it's a fantastic question, and I think it's absolutely the right one, because that's very much where one might expect them to go. With what we see is when FedEx offers one rate, typically it's combined with less than necessarily aggressive ground pricing, because the one rate pricing is so aggressive. And so one of the challenges for shippers is how to manage both. How do you get more with ground? How do you not lose your existing one rate pricing? That's typically what happens. And how do you limit rate increases on one rate? For FedEx, from their point of view, one rate was always a challenge because to some degree it's a bit of a loss leader. They're trying to attract volume into services that are not being used as much, typically two-day and express saver. And so that for them, that's a challenge. And so dynamic pricing would potentially help them solve some of the negative margin volume they get in their one rate program. So I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if we started seeing them apply dynamic pricing, or more likely demand surcharges to one rate. Because again, one rate is something now, it's an air service being used a lot of the times during their peak shipping season. And so that's not necessarily something where they want to give you massive discounts.
As a shipper tends to get larger and larger and have better capabilities, those flat rate programs, the value of them tends to shrink, right? The real value comes from smaller companies or mid-sized companies that need the simplicity and the savings. So I hope they don't, but it's certainly a realistic possibility because they're already running so much cheaper than some of the comparable services.